heck, like?
Good morning, everyone. It doesn't look like we have any viewers just yet, but we'll go ahead and get started anyway. Welcome to our YouTube Live Hangout session for some information before you arrive on the Global UGRAD program. The purpose of today's chat is to answer any of those last-minute questions that you might have, and to also get to know your program team a little bit better. So I guess without further ado, we'll go around and introduce ourselves. My name is Bethany Gilchrist. I'm a Senior Program Officer here on the Global UGRAD team. I work with the students from Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the students from Sub-Saharan Africa. So good morning, everybody.
And good morning. My name is Will O'Rourke. I'm a Program Officer with the students from Eurasia and Central Asia. Just like to welcome everybody.
My name is Roya Zahed. I'm a program officer working with students from East Asia and the Pacific and South Asia. And I think I'll just say too, there is a chat box to the side, and if you can't hear us, let us know.
I'm Kedron. I work with Will with the students from Eurasia and Central Asia.
I'm Clara. I work with Amy, Reed, and Bethany with the students from Near East Asia and Africa.
I'm Amy Reed, and I'm filling in for Amy Fisher-Brewy, and I'm working with Clara and the students from Near East and Asia.
Hi, I'm Lauren, and I work with Roya with students from East Asia, the Pacific, and South Asia.
And I'm Patrick. I work with Bethany with students from Latin America and the Caribbean.
Awesome. So as Roya mentioned, we do have the chat feature here on the right-hand side of the screen. This is how we're going to be fielding your questions today. So whenever you do think of something that you're dying to know, please go ahead and type it in there, and we will answer it to the best of our ability.
And there's a little option at the bottom that says sign in, and you'll need to actually sign in, otherwise you can't use the chat.
So to give you a little bit of information, general overview of the Global UGRAD program, we have around 250 students, just over 250 students, from almost 60 countries around the world on the program. There was a cohort for academics in the fall semester, and so all of you who are tuning in today are going to be academics for the January semester. The host institutions you'll be attending around the country, we work with about 70, everywhere from Idaho to Texas to Maine to Missouri. You guys will have very diverse experiences while you're here. And we've created a lot of cool ways for you to keep in touch while you are in the United States. So you've already been utilizing the Facebook group, and that'll be one of the main ways that we stay in contact, but you'll be getting a lot of messages from us while you're on the program. We do this thing called our Monday emails. Those will come from your program team, so the teams that we just mentioned, the regions we work with. And they're meant to keep you engaged, to give you different assignments each week that we call our fun work. So things like setting up Skype calls with your program team, writing short reflections, giving us general updates about how you're doing. And we'll also send you a lot of reminders. There will be some requirements that you have to complete while you are here, and we'll make sure that you can't forget about those through the reminders we send you each week. So you will have very advanced notice of when things are due. Are there any questions at the moment before we continue? You guys are so quiet.
Do you want me to pick up with?
Go for it.
They actually, hold on, they're having trouble hearing.
Okay.
Okay.
So are you able to see the chat over there? Okay.
Can you hear us at all, or is it a silent?
They can hear.
Okay.
So the microphone's over there. Yeah.
Okay.
We can turn the sound on and bring it up. Do that.
Okay, so we're going to rearrange a little bit so that you guys can hear us a little bit better. So we're going to move the laptop. Bear with us for one moment.
Are you going to go to real time?
Where is it?
Sorry, go to live stream.
Left.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, and the drop down on the left. Right?
also show us on there?
Maybe it's just in a different window.
Okay. Oops. Technical difficulties. Okay. Can you guys hear us any better? Getting real
closer,
close.
getting closer.
Okay, does that help at all?
Can you guys hear us?
So Lauren is able to get the chat window over there,
Okay.
but we don't have the chat window up here.
Maybe it
You can
would
read
be,
your laptop here, so you can, or you can read the questions.
yeah, if you wanted to read off questions for us, that we can definitely.
You just
As we're getting configured, I did want to just follow up as, we wanted to start a little bit more of a conversation. I did want to talk a little bit more about arrivals. In the next few weeks, you will be receiving arrival emails from one of your program teams or from your program team. One of us here at World Learning will be sending that out to you. That's going to give you detailed instructions about how exactly you are going to be leaving your home country and getting to your host university. That's going to also include a copy of your ASPE card, which we can talk about a little bit later on. It's also going to include a detailed itinerary for you. That's going to help you get all of your flight information, and it's also going to help you with all ground transportation. The email should be coming out again in the next few weeks before you arrive, and as you come on the program, you'll be gaining more and more information, especially through our virtual orientations, which again, I can turn over to another team member if they would like to talk a little bit more about that. I'm going to check back in, see if we had any questions so far that we would be able to field.
Can you guys hear us better? Yes? Okay, good.
Great.
We can talk about virtual arrival orientations if you'd like. When you get to your university campus here in the US, you will have an orientation with World Learning somewhat similar to what you already had at the embassy or the Fulbright Commission at home. But it'll be a little different in that we're talking about your actual program requirements and things that will be due while you are here in the United States. So it'll be a meetup with the students at your university from Global UGRAD, probably from several other universities. It's like a big open chat, sort of like this, a little more structured, and then again, we'll talk about all of your program requirements, and you will get a folder at your university or host institution that has all the paperwork you'll need to fill out for that call. So we will ask for some documents back and use that again as another time to answer any questions you have once you get to campus.
So as we, wait to hear back from you to receive any feedback, I'll just continue talking a little bit more about the role of program officers and program associates and how we work directly with you while you're on the program. As we mentioned, there is, pre-arrival instructions that we'll be passing along to you. Bethany had mentioned the virtual orientation, which is one of the first key interactions that you'll have directly with us. That's going to be while you're on campus. It should be in the first week or so. But as we move along in the program, you are going to have continued communication with your program team. We're going to be setting up those Skype calls. We're going to be checking in with you regularly to make sure that you're meeting all the requirements of the program, that you're turning in the forms necessary that, again, Bethany had spoken about. And we're also here to help out with any academic advising, any help that you might have adjusting to life in the United States. So at this time, if there are questions about what life in the United States is like or what life at an American university is like, we'd be more than happy to answer those questions. Again, that is our role here. We're making sure to facilitate and make sure that you have a fantastic time on your program. So please don't hesitate.
Yeah, don't be shy, guys. This is really meant to be an open conversation, less us just talking at you, but rather talking with you. So nothing yet? No questions? So it sounds like there's a slight delay. So we'll be monitoring the chat box just in case.
I could keep going with program requirements if we'd like to talk about a little bit more of the program requirements. We could talk about community service, absolutely. Did anyone else speak? Or?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll talk about community service. So one of the requirements of the program that ends up being a lot of students' favorite part of the program is community service. You'll have to complete at least 20 hours, which of course you are welcome and encouraged to go way beyond that. And we encourage you to get out and off campus into the community that is hosting you. It's a great way to give back and meet people that you wouldn't otherwise meet. So Bethany, and I think we'll also mention our orientation calls that we'll have when you arrive, and we'll give you more information on that then as well.
Our first question. The question is, should the flight tickets that are going to be attached to the email that you get pre-arrival, should that be used as your actual ticket? The answer is no. You will need, in many cases, to go to the airport to check in at the airline that will be flying you to the US, and they will issue you an actual paper ticket to get on the plane. So you can't walk up to security with the document that we will send you. Most of you will probably have a checked bag. So you will need to take care of that at the airline counter as well. So make sure that you don't try to walk on the plane with too much stuff. They will also be checking your passport at the airline desk to clear you for boarding. So good question. Okay. May you please clarify how financial assistance could be allocated into the components including books and living stipend, etc.?
Good question.
Anybody want to answer that?
I'll take that one on. The program itself actually stipulates that you receive a $300 a month stipend. This is going to be a living stipend that we'll talk a little bit more about during your virtual orientation when you arrive on campus. However, you should be expecting that that is going to be for any miscellaneous expenses that you have while you're on the program. We have already taken care of your full tuition as well as your room and board, as well as a full meal plan at your university. So you will be able to dine at the cafeteria on your campus, and you will also have a dormitory with an American roommate. And we have already taken care of every, all of the administrative sides and the administrative costs of the program. That being said, you will also be receiving that stipend, and you will be receiving $250 for your books. Now, that may sound like a reasonable amount of money. Sometimes you actually go over that amount. That's okay. More about that procedure again during the virtual orientation the next time you speak with us. But usually what ends up happening is that you will go ahead and buy your books, and then we will reimburse you for anything that you spend over $250. So very good question. Definitely something that is very important while you're going to be on the program. Did anyone want to add anything in terms of stipends or additional monies received?
Got it.
Okay, great.
We had another question about what about people with food restrictions? What should they do when they get to campus?
I can take that one. A lot of U.S. students here also have food restrictions, whether it's because of cultural or religious or just dietary restrictions that they have. So the dining services on each university campus are aware that that's an issue. They will have a variety of food that you can choose from. And if you are in particular having a really hard time finding things that you can eat, we have really good relationships with these schools. We've been working with them for years. And so they'd be open to us speaking with their dining services to make a menu that works for you. And that would be up to you once you're on campus, knowing what your needs are and communicating that with the dining services, and feel very confident that they'll be able to provide food that you can eat. Now, whether or not you'll love the food immediately, that's up to you. And we know that changing from the home-cooked food that you have and adjusting to U.S. meal plans can be a challenge, but we just want you to come in with an open mind. And I think that you will come to love it. But as far as foods that you can eat, yes, your dining halls will be able to provide that for you, no matter what that is.
And we have a question about what types of clothes and how many clothes to bring.
So when you're packing in preparation for the program, the best suggestion that I can give you is to bring things that you can layer. You don't want to bring too many clothes with you just because you will probably buy a lot of stuff when you get here, but you all are arriving in January. January across the United States tends to be fairly cold, depending on where you are studying. It will likely be snowing. Don't let that scare you. You'll have time to buy a lot of the warm things that you need. But yeah, packing in layers because the weather can change quite a bit. So things that you can put on when it gets a little bit colder and then have another layer underneath so that if it gets too warm, then you can adjust accordingly. But you will have time when you get here to buy a lot of the essentials that you need. So you will be able to buy shampoo and toothpaste and sheets for your bed. When you're coming that first night, you may or may not have bedding already on your bed. So if you wanted to pack like a small blanket or something like that that you could easily maybe fit in a carry-on, that's not a bad idea either. But good idea to save space in your suitcase, I'll say, because you can get a lot while you're here.
I would add also, I mean, just to continue what Bethany just said, a lot of students at the end of the semester, their biggest piece of advice to the incoming student is to pack less. To pack as little as possible because you are going to want to bring things back. Also, if you want to bring some type of traditional clothing or little mementos from your home country that you can show off during cultural presentations, that's always recommended too.
And another question, can we choose our volunteering schedule?
Yes. Sorry. So as we had mentioned, community service is at least 20 hours, and you can do it wherever you want to do it. If you enjoy working with animals, you can go to an animal shelter. We have a lot of people who work at soup kitchens that's providing meals for people who don't have homes or don't get meals regularly. You can work with the elderly population. You can do whatever you are interested in, whether it's environment or social justice issues. It's up to you. You don't have to do all 20 hours at one organization either. It's really, really up to you. Each university campus will have an office on campus called Student Service Learning Office or Community Service Office, something like that. And they will have a list of so many different ideas and places for you to go and spend your time. So you don't have to ask us for approval necessarily when you're deciding on where to volunteer. It's really up to you. We want it to be a place where you are interested and finding value in the work that you're doing.
And another question, does my stipend get deposited in a bank account? If so, which bank?
Great question. So we'll go back to the question about the stipend. So typically what happens when you first arrive on campus, you are going to be meeting your student advisor. They have a better feel and a better idea of what banks are student friendly and what banks are close to campus so that you'll have easy access, but you will be setting up a US bank account. And as we chat more and as we work with you closer, we'll get your banking information to make sure that we can direct deposit your stipend into your bank account. So you won't have to worry about any checks in the mail, any money hangups. Everything should be at your fingertips, at the first of every month.
To go a little bit further into the idea of stipend, your scholarship covers your tuition and fees, your room and board at your host institution. You also get a book allowance. It covers your required books. So the stipend you get from us every month is really for what are called incidental expenses. So things like notebooks and pens and going to the movies and getting coffee or saving your money if you want to go travel. So it's a good stipend.
And another question, if I'm put in the international student dorm, can I switch out so that I can have an American roommate?
So a lot of the time, good question. we ask the host institutions to pair you with roommates from the United States. Even if you are in an international student dorm, it's not necessarily just international students. A lot of the time they will have US students who have expressed an interest in rooming with international students and try to pair you there. So not to worry, we try to have people kind of feel out the roommate situation for the first couple weeks before making any switches. We encourage you to embrace that. I think living with a roommate is new for pretty much all of you, so you have to give it a little bit of a chance. So.
And is it a problem to purchase books with a debit card since we won't have a credit card?
It's a very specific question.
Yeah.
But okay, I'll take that one. You are more than welcome, again, to use a debit card. Typically, you will be receiving a debit card from the US bank that you'll be working with. So again, typically the process is you will receive a stipend check right when you arrive on campus. That should be there with your advisor once you're there. You'll go to the bank, you'll set up your bank account, and then you'll deposit that money into the bank account. The bank will in turn give you a debit card that you can then freely use. Again, make sure to budget your money, but we do advise that you're more than welcome to use it directly to purchase your books.
I would say most students use a debit card. It's like, and for those who don't know what a debit card, it's like a cash card. Pretty much it's just a card that you swipe, and whatever you're buying something for $10, you just swipe it and it automatically takes $10 out of your bank account. So you might also call it a cash card.
In any place that you would be able to use a credit card, you will also be able to use a debit card.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And some students find it easier to take the money out so that they have cash in their hand. So you can also go to, it's called an ATM, and withdraw cash if it's easier for you to have the cash in your hand.
That was Lauren. I can't see her.
Yeah, sorry guys. She's waving. She's there.
And also, does it cause trouble for online purchases using a debit card?
No, you should be just fine.
Amazon is great. A lot of students will go on Amazon.com. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that, to buy discounted books and things for their room. So keep an eye on Amazon.
And can we stay a week or longer after the semester ends at the end of the program?
No. This is a holdover, I think, from maybe some alumni that have been on the program last year. But in the terms and conditions of your scholarship, it says that you will return home immediately after the program ends. So while you may have heard rumors of students doing that in the past, it's not an option this year, and that's per the Department of State. So right when your program ends, that is when you will head home, and you will get your round trip flight information when we send those arrival emails. So you'll get both your ticket to the United States and be able to see your itinerary for going home.
Is it necessary to bring pocket money?
It's helpful. A lot of students will. It's not necessary. Like Will and Bethany have mentioned, all your required expenses are taken care of, and then the stipend is kind of looked at as pocket money. So it's really up to you.
While you're traveling to the U.S., the Embassy or Fulbright Commission in your country will have given you a travel stipend that is meant to be used en route to the U.S. and en route to your home country. So what you're going to receive is for both sides of your trip, for maybe buying like chewing gum in the airport, a bottle of water, whatever you happen to need while you are in transit. So you should be set.
In which cases do we have to inform our advisors that we're traveling?
Always. But if somebody else wants to answer a little bit more.
You should probably always tell your advisor if you're going to travel, even if you're going to be off campus for just a night. And also make sure that you go onto the student portal and fill out the travel form so that we have it. The travel form is really basic. It's very easy. We just require some information about where you're going, a contact phone number, so that if anything were to happen to you, we'll be able to contact you and take care of you. So don't forget to tell your advisor and also to let us know.
The other piece of that is that you are not permitted to miss class in order to travel. You guys will have some good holidays and breaks here in the US during the spring semester. So you will be able to take advantage of this during those times. But if you have class, you must be there.
And also, if you are just like going to a nearby city for less than an overnight, you don't have to let us know. You have to let us know when you're going to be away overnight. But if you're just traveling during the day and coming back, that's fine. You don't have to tell us.
Yeah. And that's something that we can talk about more as well when we do our not virtual arrival orientation. Is it virtual arrival orientation? Yeah, that's what we call it these days. When you get to campus, we'll talk about that a little bit more.
How can we prove that we've done a full 20 hours of community service?
As you do your community service, we can talk a little bit more about these forms now. So Clara had alluded to an online student portal. You should have applied for the program through this portal. This is an online portal that we house all of our documents in. Your program documents will be found there. There are actually 2 documents that we require for your community service. The first will be a community service plan, which will be earlier in the semester. That is going to spell out and just kind of give us an idea of what you're planning to do for the semester in terms of community service. And then at the very end of your program, at the end of the semester, you'll be submitting a community service report. So that is going to have a detailed account of what you did for your community service hours. It will also give us contact information for points of contact or your supervisor while you were doing your community service, and also a nice little synopsis and an overview of what you did during your community service.
And pictures are good proof too.
Yes.
When you're here, you will hopefully be really comfortable using Tumblr. That is something that I think Opal class, I think maybe it was like the 4th or 5th module, we had invited you to go on to go on Tumblr and post a photo. That's the same place that when you're in the US, you'll be posting photos for us to see. So we would encourage you to take photos of yourself while you are volunteering and putting that on Tumblr. That's just another way. But we really just it's a trust system. We're trusting that you do what you say that you do. And that's going to be a theme of a lot of your work here. We're asking you to do these requirements. We know that you're capable of them, and we trust that you get them done.
And what happens if my flight is delayed or canceled?
I'm glad you're already thinking ahead to this. The moral of the story with a lot of this stuff is to be in touch with your program team. In the arrival email that we're going to send you with that flight information, we're also going to provide you with emergency contact information in case of flight delays or emergencies. So it'll have your program officer as well as a backup program officer who's our contact at that particular university, as well as information on how to contact somebody from the university who is involved in your pickup at the airport. So if you do have flight delays, please reach out. It makes everybody's job a lot easier, and it helps us coordinate here to ensure that somebody's there to pick you up and that your arrival goes as smoothly as possible.
In your orientation packets that you receive, your pre-departure orientation packets, there's a ZapTel card which you can use. It has $5 or less on it, depending on what country you're in and the fare rates. So you can use that card to call us from a payphone or borrow someone else's phone or get on the Wi-Fi and get a hold of us so that we can start taking care of your flight and make sure that you get here safely.
We also will monitor WhatsApp is a great way to get in touch with us while you're en route. Facebook is not always the best way to get in touch with us, but as a last resort, you can try and find us on there too. Usually WhatsApp and phone calls are the best.
And don't hesitate to leave a voicemail. I know in a lot of countries when you call and if no one picks up, you just hang up. If we don't pick up immediately, leave a message so that we know who you are and what your issue is. Don't be afraid to leave voicemails.
Right? And please do mention your name in the voicemail as well, because it helps us a lot because we don't know you yet. And of course this would come, so when is the UGRAD reunion meeting?
We knew it was going to happen. So we are still figuring out all of the details, and we will send you more information about it when you get here. But it'll probably be sometime in early April.
And what about the Opal certificate? When are we getting that?
That'll come likely in your end of program packet. So after you finish the program and gone back home, we will send you a packet that has several documents in it. One of them will be your Opal certificate.
No more questions right now.
I
Okay.
wonder if we should, I know that we introduced ourselves earlier, but I'm not sure we'll hurt us well. Maybe we could do a quick intro.
Yeah.
So we'll see our faces.
Sure. So I'm Bethany Gilchrist. I am a senior program officer here working with students from Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as sub-Saharan Africa.
My name is Will O'Rourke. I'm a program officer with students from Eurasia and Central Asia and Eastern Europe.
My name is Kedrin, and I work with Will with the students from Eurasia, Central Asia, and Eastern Europe.
My name is Roy Zahed. I work with students from East Asia and the Pacific and South Asia.
My name's Clara Adbor-Tabi. I work with students from Near East Asia and Africa.
And my name is Lauren Carino, and I work with students with Korea from East Asia and the Pacific and South Asia.
My name is Patrick Calderon. I work with Bethany with students from Latin America and the Caribbean.
Hello, I'm Amy Reed, and I'm working with Clara with students from the Near East and Asia, and I'm filling in for Amy Fisher-Brewey.
So hopefully now you can see the whole team. Cool. Let me see if there's any other questions. Can I rent a car? The answer is no. You are not permitted to drive while you are on the Global UGRAD program. This is an issue of liability and insurance. So you cannot rent a car, you cannot drive somebody else's car. However, on your campus, you will have access to the campus bus for free. A lot of times the schools have agreements with local transportation that you can use the local bus for free or at a discounted rate. So you might be used to driving at home, but you will not be able to drive while you're here, so please don't.
And should we take sheets and pillows with us?
Sheets and pillows. So one thing that I would say is that some schools do offer this, and then there are some schools that you may be required to purchase this on your own. We do offer a settling in allowance, which I don't think we had covered earlier. That is going to be $100. That's going to be an additional part of your stipend once you first move in. This is typically what this money is used for.
Can we prepare PowerPoints about our countries for the end of program workshop?
You guys are so eager. You're not even here and you want to go home. I know. Don't worry about the end of program workshop too much right now. I think right now focus on getting to the United States. During the semester, as we continue planning the end of program workshop, we'll have more information for you. There will be opportunities for you to share either about your country or something else. But we'll talk about that later for sure.
But also the end of program workshop is something to be excited about.
Yeah.
So be excited about it.
And I see there's more questions, so we'll let you know more about when it is during the semester a little later too. And we'll also let you know about traveling after workshop as well later on. Can we continue with the community service even after we've done all 20 hours?
Yes, please. I think last year the record number of hours was just over 100. So maybe you can break it.
Yeah, if it fits with your schedule and you're having a really great time, we don't want to stop you. So that's awesome. Okay, another break.
I'm trying to think of other questions.
Some students, just to talk about internships, while it's not a requirement of the program, there are students who have asked us in the past whether or not they can take an internship. Again, this is on a case-by-case basis. We would like to evaluate just to see how you're doing in your classwork. Again, your priority will be academics. However, if you do have time after academics and after your community service, we would certainly entertain the idea of internships. Again, they must be unpaid internships. You should not be receiving any money while you're on the program, with the exception of the stipends that we are offering you through the program. So just keep that in mind as you maybe look around for opportunities around your campus.
Will we work with our academic advisor to choose our courses?
Yeah, I think so. Some of you have been contacted by your universities to begin the course registration process. Some haven't, and that's okay, because some schools you do the registration once you arrive. If you are getting really worried or anxious, you can just email your program team, your World Learning team, and we can let you know how your school's registration process goes. But yes, in any case, even if you've already registered with your academic advisor once you are on campus, and your academic advisor will review your schedule, the classes that you've selected, to ensure that you've selected classes that are appropriate and right for you. If you remember, the Global UGRAD program has a couple of requirements as far as registration. One is that you select one U.S. Studies course. U.S. Studies course can be U.S. government, something about U.S. art, jazz, pop culture in the U.S. It's pretty broad, but you need 1 3-credit class that's U.S. Studies. And then 2 of your other classes, which will be about half of your classes, have to be within your major. And then you'll probably get to choose 4 classes total, so probably 1 U.S. Studies course, 2 classes in your major, and then your 4th one is what we call an elective. Just maybe a subject that you've always been interested in. Communications, psychology, sociology, environmental science, whatever it is. So that's sort of what we're looking for, but once again, to answer your question, I made it long, but yes, you'll be meeting with an academic advisor once you're on campus, and then in addition to that, your World Learning advisors will also review your schedule to make sure that you're good to go.
How is public transportation in the United States?
Good question.
It's pretty good. Every city functions a little bit differently, so some will have buses, some might have a subway. There's often, bicycles that you can rent, either on campus or around your town. It might have a bike sharing system. So there's a lot of different ways to get around, and there's usually different timetables that the buses and subways and things will follow. So it's pretty reliable in terms of scheduling.
A lot of campuses also have their own personal shuttle bus routes to help students get off campus and around the surrounding city or town.
It's also a good reason to make American friends, because some of your American friends might have cars, and then they can take you in their cars to go places. Are we allowed to have an internship during the program or after the program?
So as Will mentioned, internships are not required. They are on a case-by-case basis. I think you guys, there's a lot of stuff to do during one semester. So you have to get here and adjust, both to just being here and to your classes, and then think about community service, getting involved in clubs on campus, maybe doing some travel, things like that. The internship, you can do one if you want, but as Will said again, we can visit that on a case-by-case basis, because we want to make sure that you guys are having a balanced Global UGRAD experience. So not just studying and not just doing all the outside things, but really finding time for both. So we don't want it to tax your time. But again, once you arrive, if you have questions about that, you can work with your program team.
What should we do if we experience discrimination or bullying?
That's a very good question. We are here for you as a resource. We will be in touch with you very closely throughout your program. So I would say contact us to let us know. Also contact your advisor on campus. You will have an orientation from the school once you get to campus as well that will cover different issues like that and provide you with resources. I think more often than not, you'll find that your campuses and host communities are very welcoming and are very open and excited to have you there. But things do happen. So please utilize the on-campus resources, your international student advisor, your regular advisor on campus, and please be in touch with us as well.
And just to say too, most campuses have a policy of no bullying and no discrimination. So the places where you're going, those things are not inappropriate or allowed. So just know that you're going to places where they're trying to create safe spaces and they're welcoming of you. They want you on their campuses. We're putting you at universities that are really excited to have you and have had Global UGRAD students for years. So know that, and yeah, if you run into that person or two that doesn't believe in those things, you should definitely speak up and know that that's not right. So as Bethany said, campus is there for you, we're here for you. We embrace the diversity that you guys all bring. You represent, I think it's almost 60 different countries, which is amazing. That's why we love our jobs, and your campuses are excited to have you as well.
Should we have an international student ID card?
I've never actually gotten that question, I don't think.
Once you get onto your campus here, you will receive a student ID card from your host university.
Yeah.
It never hurts to have an extra form of ID. That way, if you're traveling but not flying, you don't necessarily have to carry your passport with you all the time. So if you have one, yes, bring it, but I would say you don't need to go out of your way to get one.
Okay, another lull in questions. We hope this conversation is getting you excited to come to the U.S., I will say. We're excited to have you. We're eagerly preparing for your arrivals. So this is helpful for us to get in the mode of January arrivals, which are coming very quickly. Anything?
Maybe we can provide like advice.
Oh, we got one more question.
So can I return home a little bit earlier, even a few days earlier, before the end of the program in case my final examinations start a bit earlier?
You need to finish the semester here. The reason that we book your plane tickets the way that we do is that they are the day after final exams end on your U.S. campus. To get into more detail than that, I would say contact your program team, and we can discuss it a little bit further from there. Nothing else?
Yeah, maybe advice on how to make the most of your UGRAD experience. We've been working with a lot of students who have provided us feedback. I thought maybe each of us can talk a little bit about advice that we have for you as you prepare, how to get the most out of your experience here.
In talking to students from the past, it seems, and with my experience traveling abroad, it seems that the best way to get the most out of this experience is to come with an open mind and be ready to learn. More outside of your classroom experience, the Global UGRAD, outside of your classroom work, the Global UGRAD experience is about cultural exchange, teaching your fellow American classmates, roommates, students on campus about where you come from and the beauty that exists in the places you come from and lessons that you bring with you, and also learning from them things to reintroduce to your culture back home and your friends and family and universities and more innovative ways of doing projects from having learned here. So just come with an open mind, come ready to learn, ready to have a good time, and it's going to be a fantastic experience. And we're here to support you during that experience. So don't be afraid to rely on us.
I think something that I would say is to have patience, both with yourself and with other people. Some people adjust more easily than others, and some people have a really hard time. And things are going to be different, but that's part of the beauty of this experience as well, is you're pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone to do something different. So it might take a little bit of time, but keep that in mind when things are really good or really hard or whatever happens to be going on. So I guess to take it in stride.
My advice would be don't be afraid to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, and that's how we learn and that's how we grow. So, go in and try everything you can, and don't be afraid to fail maybe a little bit at the beginning.
I think my advice is don't compare your experience with another's. I think you guys coming in the spring have seen a lot of what the fall students are doing and might think, oh, I want to have experience just like that. I want to do exactly that. Know that the Global UGRAD experience is very unique for each and every student, so make it your own. Don't compare your campus with others, your dorm with others. I think come in excited about what you've got, what you can make out of your experience.
I would just add on to what everyone has already kind of touched on, but I would say stay active and stay involved. One way that, as this program, as I've seen in the past, a lot of students have just said, like, where has the time gone? It just flies by. And a lot of that, making the most of your experience here. So there's a lot of new things and a lot of things that your home country or from your home university that you can really get involved in and you can really, learn a lot about. So,
Guys, Patrick, Lauren,
Any advice first?
about studying abroad? To the camera.
I think it's already been said a bit, but I really want to just emphasize how important it is to find a group to get involved with, because that can really help you get integrated on campus, make some friends, and discover great new interests that you might even be able to continue back when you return to your home country.
And I think in terms of academic exchange, you'll be doing a lot. Hopefully you will be doing a lot. You'll be trying new things, experiencing other culture. But I think it's also useful at times to take a step back and reflect a little bit on what you've done, on what you've gone through and what it means to you. Keep a journal maybe, take some walks. Think about, the process of studying abroad and how it's making you a better person.
And finally, I think we got one more question asking if the upcoming change in our governing bodies, so our new president, if that is going to affect this exchange program. The answer is no. This program will not be affected this year, and hopefully not any future year. There is a future for J1 exchanges in the United States. So your program in the spring will not be interrupted by anything that's going on in the US political scene.
Can we have a host family?
Yes, we call them something a little bit different because they're not actually hosting you while you're here, in the sense that you're not going to be living with them. We call them friendship families, and if your school has a program like that, we definitely encourage you to get involved. It's a really rewarding piece of being an exchange student in the United States, and it offers you the opportunity to maybe get off campus a little more readily over the weekends, to get to know some real live people from the United States and see what life is like outside of the university bubble of sorts. Campus itself is its own little insular community in a lot of ways, and this will help you get to know some real Americans. So, not that college students aren't real Americans, but they're all college students. You guys are all going to be the same age, kind of going through the same thing at the same time in a lot of ways. So definitely get involved with that. Keep an eye out for that. The International Student Office at your university will probably have more information on that once you get to campus. Awesome. All right, we're going to give it another minute or two to see if there's any last questions, and then we're going to sign off. We are having another session like this afternoon. If you guys think of something that you wanted to ask and you didn't get answered, but you remembered after the fact, we will be back, I believe it's at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, doing the same kind of hangout. So if you want to come back, we encourage you to do that. We also encourage you to reach out to your program team you can definitely email us with any questions that come up as a result of this chat or otherwise. But other than that, keep an eye out in your inboxes for that arrival email that has all the details that you're dying to know. And yeah, any last questions? No?
Okay. Are we allowed to publish or rate articles in the local or national newspapers? And if there are conferences or workshops held in other universities, can we go?
The answer is yes. You certainly can, again, you can certainly publish, you can certainly write. You know, again, there are a lot of opportunities. Most universities, if not all universities, have their own newspaper. And of course, the surrounding neighborhoods and surrounding towns and cities that you'll be staying in usually have publications that you can certainly reach out to talk about opportunities. And then in terms of conferences, in the past, even this past semester, we've had students who have gone to other universities, to symposiums, to lectures, and it's a great way to talk a little bit more about your experience through the Global Gazette, which I might want to pass over to Bethany, who could talk about a little bit more. But these are great opportunities to talk about your experience and even talk about things that you've went to.
Yeah, so you guys are hopefully already on our distribution list. We publish a monthly newsletter for the Global UGRAD program called the Global Gazette. So that's published on or around the 15th of every month. And it talks a lot about what you're up to on campus and on the Global UGRAD program, highlights great alumni stories, because we try to keep in touch with our alumni to hear where they are now and what they're up to and see where the Global UGRAD experience has taken you. So we'll also provide some updates there in terms of things that are coming up that are due and what the team is working on. So we always encourage student submissions. If you have something going on that you really want to write about and you're passionate about, I encourage you to send that to your program team so that we can take a look at it and format it into an article for that publication. Awesome. All right. So with that, I think that's going to be our last question. Thank you for tuning in today, guys. And we hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.